Alright, today we're looking at a group of items come from several different sales and auctions over the last week or so. As you can see, we've got a wide variety of items, some different canteens, some pouches, a jacket, and like I said, wide variety. And we see this one here is a World War I canteen cup and cover, and it's got a stencil on it for, I believe it's 162nd Infantry Regiment. So it's fairly standard for what they used in World War I at that point, but it's always neat to find one that's got a stencil, and looked like it had been stenciled more than once. So that's kind of a neat one. And this one here we see, before they started coming up with the one quart canteen, this would have been a pre-World War I canteen. Kind of the same design they would have been using all the way back in, back into the 1800s. And I don't see a date on the actual canteen cover, but on this strap here, it had a date on it. I think it was from 1904 or 1905. And I don't know what I'm guessing that may be a unit, this K33, and on the back it's got, I guess it's a 47. Yeah, so there's a date on there, 1904. So over 100 years old, almost 100. I guess next year it'd be 120 years old. It's hard to believe things like that are still just out there in people's garages and basements sitting around. And this one here is a World War II Marine Corps canteen and cover. And I've heard a couple of different names for this style. I've always thought it was called a dog ear style, but then some people just call it a cross flap. And I believe this would be considered a fourth pattern. And they made two different versions of this one with the crossed flaps. Some of them had a drain hole in the bottom and some didn't. I don't know that one's necessarily rarer than the other, but it's interesting that they would come up with two different designs that they were testing on that. And also interesting is that, most of the time when you find these canteens, they're going to look more like, like this. And then this one here is an enamel one. And that again was like the Marines were using those. And sometimes they'll have a manufacturer and a date stamped on the bottom, and some of them don't. But that's always an interesting find. And we see these just kind of two fairly standard canteens, but certainly different. You see that at one point they started putting this lip on there for the cup to fit. And let's see, this one here, it's really hard to read the date on the back of them. And then this one, quite easy to read. And then here we got it's a shotgun shell pouch. They even stamp it on there. Ammunition pouch, shotgun. We see that this one was from 1943. And we see the JQMD. And see, that's how it would attach on go on your belt. And usually they would have some loops in there to put your canteen, or not your canteen, your shotgun shell. And somebody had removed the loops for something. Maybe they were using it for something different. And here we see this would be a replacement handle for the T-handle shovel that was used predominantly in World War II. And I believe this one, again, these dates on some of these things can be quite hard to read, but it's from 1942. Again, interesting that stuff like this is still out there that's unused. And here we see this, just your standard well-used cup. And then we've got, I saved the best for the last. Let me just pick these few of these things off here. What this is a, you know, when you see this Frogskin camo, most of the time you're thinking Marine Corps, but this one's not a Marine Corps. This one's actually U.S. Army. Also used the Frogskin camo uniforms for a while over in Europe. And I believe, I don't know if it's true or not, but I had heard that they stopped using it because of U.S. troops getting mistaken for German troops because they were wearing camo. And we see it's got the jungle side camo pattern, and then we see the beach side. Unlike the Marine Corps ones, even though it's a, you know, a reversible pattern, it doesn't have the pockets on the inside, so it's not really a real reversible uniform. And this gentleman who had owned this, he had enlisted in the Army in March of 1941. So he was in the Army even before the U.S. got involved in World War II. And it's got a few interesting characteristics, like they reinforce the elbows. And we see on the pockets here, they wanted to conceal the buttons. And we see it had the gas flap on it. And usually they'll have a pocket, a tag here in the pocket. Fortunately, they always get washed out to where you can't read them. But overall, a neat piece, especially being not being a Marine Corps related, but being Army related, and to know who it came from and know that he was in the Army even before the U.S. got involved in World War II is a interesting story to it. And that about covers everything that we've picked up over the last week or so. I hope you've enjoyed the video, seen some neat things. If you have, liked the video, if you'd like to see more, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button or to check out some of the other, there's 30 plus videos showcasing many items from different estate sales and auctions. And encourage you to like the video, subscribe, and that'll about cover it. Thanks for watching.